human technology has continued to advance throughout history. Right now, you're probably watching this video on a smartphone or a computer. A few decades ago, our grandparents might have relied on the radio to listen to music and catch up on the news. Go back a little more than a century, and newspapers and other printed media were the primary sources of information. The same pattern can be seen across nearly every aspect of human life. Over time, our technology has generally become more sophisticated. But there is one remarkable episode in human history where the opposite seems to have happened. Imagine an island cut off from the outside world for more than 10,000 years. Instead of becoming increasingly advanced, as we often assume is the natural course of history, its inhabitants gradually lost skills their ancestors once possessed. They stopped building seaworthy boats. They stopped catching finfish, even though the surrounding waters were rich with them. They stopped sewing warm clothing from animal hides, despite enduring winters far harsher than those on mainland Australia. And the sophisticated bone tools that had once been part of their technology slowly disappeared from the archaeological record. This was not the result of a sudden catastrophe or a mass extinction. Instead, it was a slow process that unfolded over thousands of years. A society that gradually moved backward from a level of technological achievement its own ancestors had once attained. How could a population of humans with brains no different from ours lose knowledge they had possessed for millennia? It is one of the most intriguing puzzles in human history, and its answer reveals something far deeper about how knowledge itself can either endure or disappear from a society. Now take a look at a map of Australia. Just to its south lies the island of Tasmania. But for thousands of years during the Ice Age, Tasmania was not an island at all. It was physically connected to both mainland Australia and New Guinea. As massive ice sheets accumulated at the poles, global sea levels dropped, exposing a vast landmass known as the ancient continent of Sahul. Tasmania remained connected to Australia from around 60,000 years ago, until rising seas finally separated it roughly 12,000 years ago. This means that when the first humans arrived on the Australian continent, Tasmania was still part of the greater Sahul landmass. Within about 20,000 years of humanity's arrival in Australia, people had already reached what is now Tasmania around 40,000 years ago, simply by traveling overland. No ocean crossing was required. As the Ice Age came to an end and the polar ice sheets melted, sea levels gradually rose once again. Around 12,000 years ago, Tasmania was finally cut off from mainland Australia, severing all contact between the populations on either side of the newly formed Bass Strait. From that point on, the people of Tasmania lived in complete isolation from the outside world for at least 8,000 years, until their first contact with Europeans in the 18th century. A period spanning more than 300 generations. To date, the earliest evidence of human presence in Tasmania dates back to around 40,000 years ago. In other words, the ancestors of the Tasmanian Aboriginal people had already settled there long before the island was separated from mainland Australia. Given this history, it is only natural that many of the technologies and hunting traditions that developed across mainland Australia were initially shared with the people of Tasmania. Yet over time, after thousands of years of isolation, many of these technologies gradually disappeared. The first, and by far the most famous example, is the ability to catch finfish. Archaeological remains show that early Tasmanians once consumed a variety of fish species, which supplied roughly 1/10 of their total caloric intake. These same species are still abundant and easy to catch in Tasmanian waters today. However, this practice gradually faded away, thus with fish bones disappearing from the archaeological record around 3,800 to 4,000 years ago. The second example is the use of complex bone tools such as needles and awls used for sewing animal hides into clothing. The diversity of these bone implements steadily declined until they vanished entirely from the archaeological record around 3,500 years ago. This is particularly striking because Tasmania's winters are considerably harsher than those in comparable regions of mainland Australia, where Aboriginal communities continue to wear animal skin cloaks for warmth. The third example is the disappearance of hafted tools, stone or bone implements attached to handles or shafts to make them more effective. Producing these tools required a relatively sophisticated manufacturing process, making their loss another notable change in Tasmania's technological repertoire. The fourth involves barbed spears and spear throwers, known in Australia as the woomera. These hunting technologies greatly increased both range and penetrating power. They remained widespread among Aboriginal groups on the mainland, but disappeared from Tasmania after its long isolation. The fifth example is the apparent loss of fishing nets and fish traps. These passive fishing technologies are often associated with more efficient and carefully planned subsistence strategies. Yet they too are absent from the archaeological and ethnographic record of post-isolation Tasmania. The sixth is the boomerang, perhaps the most iconic technology associated with Aboriginal Australia. Surprisingly, no boomerangs have been found in Tasmania's archaeological or ethnographic record after the island became isolated, even though they may once have formed part of the technological heritage shared with the ancestors of mainland Aboriginal Australians. However, these archaeological findings should not lead us to the simplistic conclusion that the Tasmanian Aboriginal people suffered a dramatic technological collapse compared with their mainland neighbors. The evidence is far more nuanced and requires a more careful explanation. But before we continue, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment to support the channel. In response to these findings, in 1978, Jared Diamond proposed a hypothesis emphasizing Tasmania's geographic isolation and relatively small population. He argued that a smaller population meant fewer innovators and specialists, making it less likely that complex skills would be successfully passed from one generation to the next. Over time, some technologies could simply disappear as their knowledge holders died without fully transmitting what they knew. At the time, however, Diamond did not have a mathematical framework to support his idea. His hypothesis remained a compelling conceptual explanation rather than a formally tested theory. About 3 decades later, evolutionary anthropologist Joseph Henrich revisited the question using a mathematical approach. He developed a theory arguing that technological complexity depends not only on individual intelligence, but also on population size and the way knowledge is transmitted across generations. According to Henrich, every technology is essentially a body of knowledge acquired through imitation and teaching. The more complex a technology is, the more steps must be learned accurately. If only a handful of people in a society possess a particular skill and they die before passing it on completely, part of that knowledge may be lost. At first, these losses may seem insignificant, but accumulated over hundreds or even thousands of years, they can eventually cause an entire technology to disappear. Henrich suggested that this is precisely what happened in Tasmania. After the island was cut off from mainland Australia around 8,000 to 10,000 years ago by rising sea levels, the Tasmanian Aboriginal population lived in isolation for millennia. With a relatively small population and no contact with neighboring groups, there was little opportunity to recover knowledge once it had been lost. Unlike Aboriginal communities on the Australian mainland, which could exchange ideas and skills with one another, the people of Tasmania depended entirely on what was successfully preserved within their own communities. Henrich even argued that the toolkit used by the Tasmanian Aboriginal people was no more technologically complex than that of the Neanderthals. Using his mathematical model, Henrich demonstrated that small populations are inherently more vulnerable to losing complex technologies than larger ones. Not because their members are less intelligent, but because there are simply fewer experts and teachers available to preserve and transmit specialized knowledge across generations. However, Henrich's theory is far from universally accepted. To this day, the case of Tasmania remains one of the most fascinating debates in anthropology. At first glance, the theory seems to offer a convincing explanation. A small population, thousands of years of isolation, and interrupted cultural transmission appear to form a plausible recipe for the disappearance of certain technologies. Yet over the past few decades, a growing number of researchers have begun to question whether the Tasmanian Aboriginal people truly experience technological regression at all. One of the biggest criticisms of Henrich's theory is that it begins with the assumption that these technologies were genuinely lost. Yet, for many of the technologies commonly cited, such as boomerangs, spear throwers, and fish hooks, the archaeological evidence is far weaker than it is often portrayed. The only technology that archaeologists are reasonably confident disappeared from the archaeological record is the bone point. For many of the others, researchers have not even reached a consensus on whether the people of Tasmania ever used them in the first place. There is also the problem of preservation. Unlike bone or stone, many organic materials, such as animal hides and plant fibers, decompose rapidly and rarely survive in archaeological sites. As a result, the existence of technologies made from these materials, such as fishing nets, cannot be ruled out simply because no physical remains have been found. Moreover, technological change does not necessarily imply technological decline. In archaeology, a tool may disappear not because people forgot how to make it, but because it was no longer useful. As environments change, food sources shift, and ways of life evolve, technologies that were once valuable may simply become unnecessary. From this perspective, the people of Tasmania may not have lost certain technologies at all. They may have consciously abandoned them because they no longer served a practical purpose. One example concerns the disappearance of finfish from the archaeological record. Several researchers have suggested that this was not because Tasmanian Aboriginal people forgot how to catch fish, but because they deliberately chose not to. This may have reflected a cultural food taboo, or perhaps a strategy of maximizing energy returns by focusing on protein sources such as seals and shellfish, which provided far more calories for the effort required than catching finfish. Another example involves bone needles and awls. Although these tools disappeared from the archaeological record, ethnographic accounts show that Tasmanian Aboriginal people continued to make clothing and body coverings from animal hides. They simply used a different construction method, tying or fastening the hides together instead of sewing them with bone needles. In other words, what may have disappeared was not the ability to produce warm clothing, but one particular manufacturing technique replaced by another that was simpler yet equally functional. Henrich's mathematical model has also been criticized. While it demonstrates that small populations are generally more vulnerable to losing cultural knowledge, subsequent research suggests that population size is only one piece of the puzzle. The structure of social networks, the frequency of interaction between groups, environmental conditions, and economic needs can all influence whether a technology is maintained, modified, or abandoned. A frequently cited counterexample is the Angmasalik Inuit of Greenland. Despite living in a population that was both small and geographically isolated, they managed to preserve an exceptionally sophisticated technological toolkit. Their case suggests that a small population alone is not enough to explain the loss of complex technologies, challenging the idea that demographic size inevitably determines technological complexity. Nor does this mean that the people of Tasmania stopped innovating altogether during their long isolation. Around 4,000 years ago, they developed simple rafts made by bundling reeds together, allowing them to reach nearby offshore islands to harvest seabirds and hunt seals. These rafts were an innovation tailored to their local needs. However, because they were highly perishable and quickly became waterlogged, they were nowhere near seaworthy enough to cross the Bass Strait and reestablish contact with the outside world. As an alternative, a number of researchers have proposed that technological complexity is better explained by a cost-benefit analysis of available resources, an approach often associated with optimal foraging theory, rather than by population size alone or the accuracy of cultural transmission across generations. From this perspective, the people of Tasmania did not fail to preserve their ancestors' technologies. Instead, they may have actively abandoned certain tools because maintaining them was simply no longer worth the effort in the ecological conditions of their island. Perhaps the most important point to reflect on is that the very word regression carries a heavy historical burden. For centuries, European colonizers portrayed the Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the most primitive people on Earth, using that narrative to justify violence, dispossession, and the seizure of their lands. For that reason, When discussing the disappearance of certain technologies today, it is crucial to distinguish between a genuine loss of knowledge caused by isolation and limitation, and an intelligent adaptation to a unique environment. These two interpretations lead to fundamentally different conclusions about the capabilities and choices of ancient Tasmanian society. Ultimately, the story of Tasmania reminds us that the disappearance of a technology is not always a sign of ignorance or decline. It can also be the result of isolation, adaptation, deliberate choice, or some combination of all three. More than 4 decades after the debate began, researchers are still divided over which explanation best accounts for what happened on the island.